Be prepared. A massive shift is underway, and for most, the truth won't register until the consequences are permanent. Venus is entering Taurus on June 6th, but if you're sensitive, you're already feeling it. This isn't a soft return to love, it's a final exam disguised as comfort. And by tomorrow, this prelude energy is peaking. It's crucial that you be aware of what's truly about to take place. And there's something no one's telling you about this shift. Before Venus fully settles in, there's one specific spiritual test coming, subtle but life-changing. Most people fail it, not because they're weak, but because they don't even recognize it's a test. Keep watching, because I'll reveal exactly what it is and how it decides who stays in your life. Oh, and if you've noticed certain connections feel harder to maintain lately, you can share it if you feel like it. And if it resonates, leave 555 along with your thoughts in the comments to align with this shift. And just when you think you're adjusting to the new energy, that's when the disappearances start. Not all goodbyes are meant to break you. Some are meant to unchain you. What if friendship breakups weren't messy accidents, but rituals? What if losing someone who once got you is actually a sign you're being moved to a new frequency? Venus in Taurus isn't just the planet of love coming home, it's the energy of loyalty demanding to be respected. And it's choosing for you, not based on time, not on history, but on alignment. Some friendships were never meant to last forever. They were ceremonies, contracts with an expiration date. And now they're dissolving, not because something's broken, but because something's been completed. This isn't betrayal, it's a sacred filtering, because not everyone is meant to stand beside you when the dust settles and your peace becomes permanent. This isn't intuition, it's instinct. By now, it's not just your mind feeling the shift, your body is voting, loudly and without explanation. You might have noticed it. You get around someone and your shoulders tense up. You leave a conversation and suddenly feel drained, like your energy got taxed. Or the opposite, you're around someone new and you feel lighter, steadier, like something in your nervous system knows you're safe. This is the Venus in Taurus current pulling you into alignment through your biology, not your thoughts. It's not about analyzing emotions or journaling every shift. Your body is already making decisions before your mind can even ask the right questions. Maybe you've noticed it in your appetite. Maybe sleep feels weird around certain people, either too easy or completely impossible. Your chest feels warm around some, tight around others. These aren't mood swings. These are somatic signals, biological reactions to vibrational compatibility. Your body isn't just reacting, it's sorting. Venus in Taurus is all about the physical plane, earthy, grounded, rooted, which means the guidance right now is primal. Less logic, more instinct, less thinking, more feeling. And not the poetic kind of feeling, the cellular kind. That person you can't sit still around, that person you get headaches after talking to. Your system already knows who's medicine and who's not. You're not crazy, you're calibrating. The shift isn't happening in your thoughts anymore. It's happening in your cells. And soon, it'll show up in who your energy physically allows near you. Because your body isn't negotiating anymore, it's filtering. And when it's done, you'll realize some people were never draining, you were just too loyal to your own exhaustion. Not everything that disappears is a mistake. Some things are mercy in disguise. Let's get honest. There's someone you're still trying to circle back to. A connection that lingers, not in presence, but in potential. Maybe they ghosted. Maybe things faded. Maybe there's still a part of you waiting for them to come back and make sense of what happened. But what if they're not meant to come back? What if the Venus shift is pruning your past, not asking you to restore it? Venus in Taurus isn't romanticizing old timelines, it's planting new ones. This is Earth energy. It doesn't chase, it grounds, it roots, it holds. And sometimes holding means holding space for the fact that something's over without needing a finale. Because closure isn't always a conversation. Sometimes it's a ceremony you do alone. A silent acknowledgement that the story is complete, even if the page wasn't signed. Stop trying to reconnect to what the universe already unplugged. That ache you feel to go back to that one person, to explain yourself, to fix what feels unfinished, that's not love, that's residue, and residue only sticks to what hasn't been cleaned out. The person you're still reaching for might actually be the anchor you were just freed from. You weren't abandoned, you were released. And the second you stop chasing what was, you'll finally have room to receive what's waiting. And what's waiting doesn't need convincing. When your values shift, your entire reflection shatters, and the people who only saw you through their version of you get confused. You might be walking the same, dressing the same, posting the same, smiling in the same way, and still, people are acting like you've changed, because you have, but not in the way they can see. You didn't dye your hair, move cities, or suddenly ghost everyone. You just stopped bending. Venus moving into Taurus isn't just about beauty or romance, it's about value. Not what's shiny, not what's performative, what's real, what's earned, what's rooted. And for many of you, that rooting has already happened deep in your energetic system. So now, your boundaries don't wobble like they used to. You say no, and you don't over-explain it. You don't chase clarity, you don't justify your peace. And guess what? That version of you, the version that's not frantically proving themselves anymore, is confusing the hell out of people who only knew how to love you through your exhaustion. Some bonds won't survive your healing, not because you've changed, but because you've stopped needing to be saved. People are reacting weirdly, ghosting you, acting distant, projecting stories that don't make sense. And the reason isn't always betrayal, it's disorientation. They're meeting a new you without realizing the old one quietly retired. And that's what this Venus shift is doing. It's dissolving the mirrors that only reflected your wounds. It's distorting the roles you used to play so you can finally recognize where you were performing safety instead of living in it. You might feel misunderstood, misread. But this is the price of internal alignment. When you embody your truth so deeply, the people still addicted to your past version will look at you like you're speaking a new language, and they won't always be willing to learn it. And that's okay, because silence isn't a punishment. It's just what happens when your energy no longer fits inside the small rooms you used to sit in. Let them misremember you. The real ones will recalibrate. Not every soul you meet is a soulmate. Some are just echoes to remind you you're still alive. Let's be honest, some connections weren't built to last. They were built to guide. There are people you've laughed with, cried with, maybe even envisioned entire futures with, who are now ghosts in your memory. And it stings, because it felt real. It was real. But real doesn't always mean forever. The Venus in Taurus energy is showing us this with brutal clarity. Not everyone was meant to be part of your symphony. Some were just background music, some were just a verse, some were just a single note that hit perfectly when you needed it and faded once it was played. And that's not failure, that's art. Some souls show up as pause buttons in your chaos, just long enough for you to catch your breath. This season isn't about resenting the impermanence, It's about honoring it, because the interludes matter. They give you time to regroup, to rehear your own voice, to remember that not every space has to be filled with noise or permanence to be meaningful. That friend who was there for 3 weeks during a hard time, that person you talked to every day for a month and then drifted from, that connection that bloomed fast and faded faster, they were not distractions. They were sacred echoes meant to teach you timing, not dependency. And just because someone was temporary doesn't mean they were a mistake. Just because someone didn't stay doesn't mean they didn't matter. The Venusian current right now is pruning attachments, not with cruelty but with grace, with maturity, with peace. You might notice certain faces fading from your orbit, certain names no longer popping into your head, certain conversations that once felt like lifelines now feel like noise. This is the melody shifting, the chorus changing, the stage being reset. And the lesson? Not every soul is meant to walk the full road with you. Some just join you for the bridge between chapters. Don't mourn the temporary, honor it. Some people came to light the hallway. You were never meant to stay in the hallway forever. Comfort is a convincing liar, but your soul knows when something isn't true. Remember earlier when I said there's one specific test most people don't even realize they're facing? This is it. It's not some cosmic obstacle course. It's not dramatic or flashy. In fact, it's subtle, so subtle that most people fail it while thinking they're doing the right thing. Taurus energy is steady, grounded, sensual, and above all, stubborn. It doesn't want the quick fix. It wants something that lasts. But here's the twist. Before you get to what's truly aligned, you will almost always be offered something close. Not quite right, but close enough to tempt you. This is the good enough test, the almost relationship. The friend who doesn't really support you, but is always around. The situationship that's kind of warm, kind of consistent, but never actually makes you feel seen. Right now, especially in this Venusian atmosphere, you may find yourself gravitating toward what's familiar, what's easy to reach, what seems to soften the sting of solitude. But that draw, it's a trap dressed as comfort. Venus in Taurus isn't here to pat you on the head and let you settle into lukewarm peace. It's here to demand that you know your value enough to say no to the almosts. Don't confuse loneliness with a sign to reconnect. Sometimes it's a signal to recalibrate. A lot of people will retreat to old patterns right now because the in-between space feels too empty. They'll reach out to people they already outgrew. They'll shrink back into dynamics that almost work. They'll settle, because settling can feel safer than sitting with uncertainty. But Venus in Taurus is not passive. She is not small. She knows her worth and does not barter it for crumbs. This is the test, and passing it is less about doing and more about not doing. Not reaching out just to fill the silence, not lowering your standards to escape the awkwardness of being in between identities, relationships, or chapters. The discomfort you feel now is temporary, but the misalignment you choose will cost you more than you can calculate. So here's the question. Will you mistake stagnation for safety? Or will you hold your ground, even when the universe goes quiet, even when the old feels easier than the unknown? Because the real love, the sacred friendships, the aligned bonds, they don't knock until you stop answering the door to what doesn't fully honor you. This is the stubborn test, and it's unfolding now. If your nervous system is in survival mode, your abundance will be too. We need to talk about the intersection that nobody sees coming, where your love life, your bank account, and your sense of peace are all pulling strings from the same root system. Venus has moved into Taurus, and this isn't just a shift in romance or aesthetics, this is about value. And Taurus doesn't compartmentalize. When this energy comes in, it links everything. Your comfort, your relationships, your financial flow, they're all suddenly speaking the same language. And if one is out of alignment, the others start echoing the imbalance. Here's the wake-up call. You cannot keep begging for abundance while staying in relationships that bankrupt your nervous system. You can't build a future on soil that rejects your roots. You can't manifest peace while spending every day walking on emotional eggshells. This energy is calling in congruence. It's demanding that your entire field, your love life, your self-worth, your comfort, your physical security, speak in one unified tone. And that tone cannot be faked. Right now, the way you love is directly tied to how you feel about receiving. And the people you're holding onto, they are either enhancing or draining that frequency. There is no neutrality anymore. Love is now a currency, and peace is the price. If someone's presence makes your body shrink, your finances will reflect that instability. If a connection keeps you in cycles of emotional doubt, your material world will start to reflect that scattered energy. This is Venus showing you that true abundance is not a hustle, it's a match. And if your relationships are energetically mismatched, your comfort will start slipping in every other area too. Taurus teaches us that wealth isn't just money, it's safety, it's peace. It's the ability to exhale in someone's arms without scanning for danger. It's knowing that you can say no without punishment. It's feeling full without explaining your hunger. So here's the uncomfortable truth. If you're uncomfortable in love, your money will feel inconsistent. If you're hiding parts of yourself in your connections, your creative energy will flicker. If your foundation is built on compromise and chaos, everything built on top of it will eventually collapse. But there's another path. The more you align with what makes you feel grounded, true, seen, the more Venus blesses not just your heart, but your home, your resources, your body. So ask yourself this: is this love I'm holding on to expanding me or exhausting me? Because if it's not aligned, it's leaking into everything. Some of the heaviest goodbyes are the ones you never got to say. As this shift unfolds, you may find yourself carrying conversations that never happened. The words left unsaid feel louder than the ones that were spoken. It's not closure you're missing. It's the energy of unfinished endings that still pulse beneath the surface. Venus in Taurus is forcing a kind of reckoning, not with people, but with the silence they left behind. The silence itself becomes weight. It lingers in the room long after they've left, and it makes you question if something was left incomplete, or if you're simply addicted to the idea that every ending needs a full explanation. But this phase isn't about tying everything into neat, understandable stories. It's about learning to live with unanswered endings. It's about recognizing that peace doesn't always come from understanding. Sometimes it comes from surrendering the need to understand. You don't need their apology to be free, you need your own permission. This isn't closure, this is release. And release doesn't require anyone else's participation. Some love doesn't disappear when they leave. It just changes rooms. What if the real lessons of love don't happen while someone is standing next to you, but when you're left to sit with the echo they left behind? There's something almost cruel about the way absence teaches us more than presence ever could. People who were once the center of your gravity are now silent satellites, slowly moving out of your orbit, and yet somehow their pull lingers. Not because you're clinging, not because you haven't moved on, but because something deeper is unfolding. A long game kind of emotion. a slow-burning realization that not all love is meant to be held. Some of it is meant to be understood. Venus in Taurus is not just the romantic, sensual planet people paint her as. Right now, she's a sculptor. She's chiseling you down to the version of yourself that understands value without needing validation. She's stripping away the loud, flashy, consuming kinds of love. And in their place, she's offering something quieter, stranger. Love that remains even after the person is gone. This is the paradox. You're learning that love isn't about proximity, it's about resonance. And resonance doesn't need presence to persist. Some people were chapters, and yet their final sentence keeps ringing in your bones. Not because you're stuck, but because your soul is still decoding the imprint they left. You're not missing them, you're completing the lesson. Right now, many of you are navigating emotional space without a map. No closure, no final conversations, no dramatic exits, just silence. And in that silence, something sacred is happening. You're no longer chasing answers, you're learning to sit with the question. This phase of Venus teaches that absence isn't always a punishment. Sometimes it's a pause designed to sharpen your emotional frequency. It teaches you to recognize real love, not by how loudly it enters, but by how deeply it stays, even when the person doesn't. And that's the lesson most won't see coming. The truest form of love might not be who shows up for you, but who keeps singing in your silence. You didn't lose them. You outgrew the version of them that couldn't meet you here. This is where it gets interesting, because not every goodbye is permanent. Not every closed door stays shut. Some people aren't gone, they're just on pause. And Venus in Taurus? She's the architect of evolution. Quietly, stubbornly, meticulously, she's reshaping everyone, including the ones you had to walk away from. You might think a chapter is finished, but this isn't about closure. It's about metamorphosis. Some connections aren't truly over. They're just in incubation, and what's coming back around won't be what you remember. Because let's be honest, you're not even who you were. Not after everything this shift has unearthed in you. Not after the choices you've made, the habits you've broken, the self-respect you've reclaimed in silence. You've been upgrading behind the scenes, building new boundaries, strengthening your frequency. You've become a new language, a new rhythm. And not everyone can dance to it. But here's the twist. Some will return, but not as the version you once knew. They'll come back changed. And not in the way you fantasized, softer, apologetic, clearer. No. They might come back colder, or louder, or suddenly awakened in ways you never imagined. And the question won't be, do I take them back? It'll be, do I even recognize them anymore? Venus in Taurus doesn't orchestrate losses for drama. She clears space for refinement. And what's happening now is a divine filtration process. Some people were meant to walk away because they needed to evolve without your influence. And you needed the silence to finally hear your own soul. Some of you will reunite with people who once triggered your wounds and find they now mirror your healing. Others will meet again, only to realize they have nothing left to say. And that's the beauty of it all. This shift isn't about reunion. It's about realignment. Some people are meant to return, not to stay, but to show you how far you've come. So the real cliffhanger isn't who's coming back. It's who you'll be when they do. Because the next time your paths cross, you might be the unrecognizable one. And that version of you, they've never met it. Not yet, but they will. If you're still watching, I'd like to thank you for your attention. If you enjoyed the content and want to see more, please consider clicking the subscribe button. Your support is very appreciated. Feel free to share your experiences or thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, take care and subscribe for more insightful content.